We are officially less than a month away from 2025 NFL free agency opening up, and the Giants are absolutely going to be buyers and trying to add talent to this roster that, quite frankly, lacks it. You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green, and Connor Hughes of SNY. He listed 5 big free agents the Giants could target this offseason. Before we dive into those 5 players, some housekeeping notes. According to Over the Cap, the New York Giants are projected to have the 12th most available space, which comes in at $43.3 million with the projected salary cap at $272.5 million. Remember last year, though, the projected salary number came in way lower than the actual number, which gave every team about a $12 to $15 million boost to what they were projecting. Could that happen? We'll find out. I do think it's important, though. The Giants have $32 million in effective cap space, which means the cap space a team will have after signing at least 51 players and its projected rookie class to its roster, which comes in at 15th in the NFL. I think the Giants need to clear up some money, and I think there are some really easy ways for them to do that. I think they can get close to adding another $40 million in cap space by doing 3 things. You restructure Brian Burns' contract, you save $16 million. You restructure Andrew Thomas' contract, you save $12.5 million. You restructure Dexter Lawrence, you get another $9.8 million, and then you cut Graham Gano post-June 1, use that $4.5 million to allocate that to your rookie draft class, and you have essentially doubled up your available effective cap space. This adds $42.8 million for you to spend and build this roster. A lot of the times people talk about, Marshall, you're just going to push money into the future for the restructures. Hell yeah, I am. The Giants have about $140 million in cap space next year in 2026, the 8th most in the NFL. The Giants are also one of 2 teams in the National Football League that have $0 allocated to their players' contracts in void years. Joe Schoen has done a great job of getting the salary cap clean, making the books look nice, getting out of the cap hell that Dave Gettleman got you in. Now it's time to spend on the right people, get creative, and add legit talent. Do what other great teams do to add talent. It's your time now, Joe Schoen, to do so. The 5 big free agents starts with Tee Higgins, wide receiver of the Cincinnati Bengals. Tee enters free agency as the number 1 wide receiver, no doubt about it. And I think the Giants could be interested. I go back to what Jordan Renan said a couple of weeks ago. Quote, I expect the Giants to add a significant weapon in free agency or a trade. And there's no more significant weapons available via the trade market or via NFL free agency than the 26-year-old 6'4" wide receiver, Tee Higgins. I know he's had some injuries throughout his career, but when he plays, he is productive as any player in this league. In 12 games, the guy had 911 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 73 receptions. Imagine him on one side and Neighbors on the other. That's going to put some pressure on other opposing DBs. Connor Hughes said this: the Giants have Malik Neighbors on a rookie contract. They also look primed to have a rookie quarterback. This gives them cap flexibility to spend a little more aggressively elsewhere. Higgins is undeniably the top free agent option available. There are some durability concerns, but when on the field, he is a dynamic player. And that is the absolute truth. This is a player that continues to put up elite stat lines. Look, this is someone that puts a lot of pressure on any DB that's going to cover him. And it gives a rookie quarterback 2 go-to guys that when they are covered, they are still open. Like Malik Neighbors, when it's a 50-50 ball, it's really an 80-20 ball. And Tee Higgins is one of the best guys in the NFL in those spots. I also love that he's had great success in the playoffs. It's time to bring some people to 1925 Giants Drive that have had success in the National Football League and in the playoffs. They need leaders, they need captains, they need winners, and they need big-time performers. And Tee Higgins, he was that in 7 games in the playoffs for the Cincinnati Bengals. It ain't going to be cheap, though, ladies and gentlemen. He is going to want to be in this graphic of the 10 highest-paid wide receivers on average annual value. I don't think he'll be top 5. I don't think he'll command more than $30 million, but I do think he could look to make more than Cooper Kupp. I think the DJ Moore contract is a good starting point, but I think it could be even more than that. I think 28, 29, maybe $30 million is where he's trying to aim. And I don't mind swinging big on Tee Higgins. Connor Hughes did a good job, and I think alluding to the point that you got to start rookie wide receiver. Cheaper than he'll ever be in his NFL career ever again. You're going to want to maximize that rookie quarterback contract. Go get him a weapon, and let's see what he could do. Another weapon he mentioned was Stefon Diggs. Obviously, Higgins is the better player, still in his prime, younger, and a higher ceiling than Diggs at this point. And Hughes mentioned that Hughes mentioned Diggs could be a alternative option if Higgins does sign somewhere else. The 31-year-old wide receiver spent his first year with the Houston Texans after leaving the Buffalo Bills to go join C.J. Stroud there. Thing is, he only played in 8 games, and he tore his ACL. And for a 31-year-old wide receiver, I don't love a guy that's coming off a torn ACL. He was solid, I would say, in those first 8 games, averaging 62 yards per contest, had 3 touchdowns, 47 receptions for 496 yards. The prior 3 years straight of almost 1,200 yards. 3 years straight of almost double-digit touchdowns. To be honest with you, though, a 31-year-old wide receiver coming off a torn ACL, I'm not really all that interested. But if the Giants do sign them, I'm going to be okay with it because he has that relationship with Brian Daboll. He has that relationship with Joe Schoen. And those two guys will and should know if Diggs fits into the equation of the 2025 New York Football Giants. You got to add another weapon this offseason. Whether that is Diggs, whether that is Higgins, whether that's a trade for DK Metcalf, whether you sign Cooper Kupp, you got to go out and add another playmaker. If you enter the season with Wan'Dale Robinson and Jalen Hyatt as your wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3, let's just not even play the season and let's just get ready for 2026 because you're not trying to compete. Coming up next, more players to talk about. First, though, I got to let you guys in on our promo code for Factor. It's only running on our Knicks channel, so keep it a secret. If you go to factormeals.com/KnicksChat50 off, you're going to get 50% off your first box. If you're ready to optimize your nutrition this year, listen up. Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They are dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes, so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. Lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor Keto Meals. Based on a randomized controlled clinical trial with Factor, Keto Meals results will vary depending on diet and exercise. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. I live a super busy lifestyle covering the Giants and Knicks here at Chat Sports. I don't always know where my next meal is coming from, but I know when I got Factor meals in the fridge at the house, my life is so much easier and I can spend more time getting you guys content. So if you're looking to get hooked up with Factor, get started at factormeals.com/KnicksChat50 off and use code KnicksChat50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code KnicksChat50 off at factormeals.com/KnicksChat50 off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. From the outside and the playmakers to inside in the trenches on the offensive line, let's talk about right guard of the Indianapolis Colts, Will Fries. The 26-year-old interior offensive lineman had his best season in the National Football League for the Colts, but it was cut a little bit short. And it really didn't go that long because he did end up breaking his leg in Week 5 of the season. But prior to that injury, in the first 4 games of the season, he was playing at an all-pro level. I do worry a little bit about, though, a player having their best season prior to being a free agent, and then you pair that with he only played 5 games. But his PFF grades were awesome, ladies and gentlemen. An 86.9 overall grade, a 74.9 pass blocking grade, an 84.9 run blocking grade, all 3 of those a career best. He did only allow 4 sacks in 17 games in 2023, 1 sack allowed in 11 games in 2022. And I like the idea of building up the offense line. You got to go out and spend big on a right guard because if you want to draft a rookie quarterback, you got to build up the O-line. The most critical position that helps out a rookie quarterback have success is the offensive line. If they don't have time to throw, they will not be any good. Look at Caleb Williams. Fries is the number 2 guard in free agency, according to Pro Football Focus. You got Trey Smith, and then you got Will Fries. A little bit cautious on Fries due to the fact he's only played at an elite level for 5 games, and he had his best season just this year, right before a contract year. The Giants signed him. I'll be happy. More assets being poured into the offensive line. Always going to be cool with that. But to be honest with you, if I'm paying big for anybody in free agency, Trey Smith is close to number 1 on my list. We talked about Tee Higgins earlier. He's going to cost a lot of money. And if you get Tee Higgins, you're probably not getting Trey Smith. And if you get Trey Smith, you're probably not getting Tee Higgins. So my question to you is this. If you could pick one of these 2 big-priced free agents, who would it be? The offensive lineman in Trey Smith or the dynamic playmaker outside in Tee Higgins? Give me Trey Smith. Give me the trench bully. We all watched the Super Bowl. And I know that Trey Smith played for the Chiefs on the offensive line. You can't just have one good one. And if the Giants could add him to Illuminor, to Thomas, to Runyon, and John Michael Schmitz takes a step into year 3, you're going to have a top 10 offensive line in the NFL. Let's talk about corner. Let's talk about a guy that played in New York or New Jersey, the Jets. DJ Reed. The 28-year-old corner is looked at as one of the top corners in free agency. Some people have him as the best. Some people have him as the second best. I think it is clear-cut, though. He is a top 2 corner in this class. At 5'9", you would think he is a little bit more of a slot guy. He is not. He is an outside corner, and he plays big. He plays with a lot of heart, and I love the way he competes. Only thing I would say is, are we really going to command 18, 19, 20, 21, $22 million per year for a corner that's never graded out inside of the top 15 in a PFF coverage grade? I don't want to say you live and die with everything PFF, but you were graded out as the 47th best coverage corner this year. The Jets' defense stunk. You were graded out as the 24th best. That's awesome. 16th best. That's awesome. That was 3 years ago. To be honest with you, if I'm spending big on a corner, I'm going out and getting Charvarius Ward. 5'9" corner on the outside or a 6'1" corner on the outside. A guy that's been a second team All-Pro guy. A guy that's won a Super Bowl. A guy that's played in multiple Super Bowls. He's been great with the Niners. He's been great with the Chiefs. Bring in that Super Bowl pedigree. I'd be cool with Reed, but Ward is my number 1 corner. And let's close it out talking about the quarterback position. Connor Hughes has mentioned Russell Wilson as a big free agent for the New York Football Giants. The 36-year-old quarterback is available, and he could end up signing with the Giants. You go back to last year at this time, the Giants actually had Russell Wilson in for a visit, and it lasted just 1 visit because they told him that Daniel Jones would be the starter. I still can't believe that. It does not sound like Russ, though, is going back to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It seems like his time is done in the Steel City. As Jay Glazer of Fox Sports says this, I don't think Russ's return to Pittsburgh is going to happen either. I think you'll see a new start for Russell Wilson somewhere else. He also mentioned that Russ is not going to go join Pete Carroll in Las Vegas with the Raiders. If Russ is out of Pittsburgh, he is on my list of quarterbacks that I am extremely interested in, and he's closer to the top of that list. I thought Russ played really good this year. Maybe it decline as the year went on, but overall, in 11 games played, he threw 16 touchdowns, just 5 picks, completed 63% of his passes, and 225 yards. He led the Steelers to the playoffs. I would love to get back in the playoffs. He was awesome in his first 6 starts for the Steelers. They were 5-1. The offense was putting up 29 points per game. It was humming. He was throwing for 270 a game. He threw 10 touchdowns to just 5 turnover-worthy plays, and his EPA was off the charts. Thing is, in the final 6 weeks of the season, the play and the production of the entire Pittsburgh Steelers offense declined, mainly because the offensive line got hurt, and they started to fall off a little bit. I like Russ, and if he is available and he's leaving Pittsburgh, he's at the top of my list, because you look at these other free agent quarterbacks, and there are gambles. And there's players that on this list that weren't even as good in their prime as what Russell Wilson was last year. Maybe you look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers. Maybe a guy like Mariota. Maybe a guy like Justin Fields. Maybe Sam Darnold. Jameis Winston has voiced he'd be okay and be happy with playing with the Giants. I don't know. Giants are going to sign a free agent quarterback, though. That's a fact. Who do you want it to be? Name a free agent QB you want the Giants to sign. give me a name down below. And make sure you are following me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up. Let's go Big Blue.